Sure. Right there.
That was just in case I don't want to interrupt.
You know, Ray opened up they bought 2 stores in Lone Pine.
Agenda for the night,
Bishop.
and then the manager's report.
Markets.
Follow along if you want to pen and make notes in case you.
You went up there for the grand opening?
No, well, a friend of mine had gone up there. She goes up to Bishop quite often.
Broadcasting
Okay, thank
live.
you.
We're being recorded live on YouTube and our own website. Okay, call to order and let's do
What
the
time?
pledge.
Oh,
6:05.
Ready? Oh.
ready?
Yeah, baby, I got you. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He's happy now.
I don't have any problem with
Roll call of directors.
anymore.
Director Garcia, Director Schoenberg.
Here.
Director Kelling is here. Present. Discussion and if we need to adjust the agenda. Anything needs to be moved? I didn't see anything.
No, I think we're okay.
Okay. Public comments. Is there any public comments that would?
No,
Yes.
I'm just happy to be here.
Well, thank you
This
for
is my
coming.
first-
The president has no report. Vice president,
No report.
the secretary.
No, because the other thing's an ad hoc though, like the Woods thing. Yeah, so I guess I don't have a report.
No report. Treasurer.
I think I reported, did I report last time that we put in the
Oh,
transfers?
actually, I do have a report.
We put in the transfers for the money that we were gonna put away.
Right.
And I also made the transfers for the payments that we did in April, so,
Okay.
This actually
for
has,
the interest payments.
Okay, back to secretary.
mine has
Your
to do
report.
with the treasury also, because Linda Sheldon advised me that it's still not fixed. So we need to go again, and, and try
As of
again.
when?
As of this week.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so we went in, I fixed everything, I went over it very clearly.
We went over it with her, what the name should be.
We gave her our new resolution, which had all the names also, and I don't know what's going on.
Thank you.
Board member initiatives. Anything?
No.
Managers report.
Okay. You want me to read the whole thing? It's just an art letter to the editor.
Yeah.
Robert DeLessio came into the office on 2nd at 3:15 p.m. to say he is upset about his water bill with Fraser Park Public Utility District being $75.46 this month. He said he talked with FPPUD General Manager Johnny Allison, but he received a story about repairs to the system and meter feeds. Mr. DeLessio is concerned for the retired people living up here and having to pay water bills that high, or even until retirement, and then having their bills go up. He said he did a locksmith job for an elderly woman up here who said she didn't know how she would pay him, and he accepted a jar of peaches for the job. He also mentioned that he has a Krista Mutual water account and they charge a flat fee of $60, which he thinks is more reasonable. So my response had to be 61 words or less. So my response is, none of us feel good about the rates we have to charge, but with the water system as old as ours, we have no choice. I encourage everyone interested to come in to speak to me for a full explanation. Also, please go to our website and read components, see it and then our website. So he doesn't realize that Krista isn't even metered and has to be metered, you know, to meet state standards, but so ultimately that's what it was.
You weren't able to enlighten him on that?
Of
Krista,
that
no,
didn't
he,
come out?
He didn't come in here, he came
He-
into the, he went into the newspaper.
Well,
office.
first he came here, and he was, he did not want explanations. He was venting. So then he went to the newspaper and vented some more, which is, his prerogative. I tried to explain to him, but he felt like he didn't get a sufficient answer.
Do you know the man?
I know who he is. He's the locksmith in town, but that's it.
which one is Krista?
Los Padres Estates.
Oh, Los Padres. Well, they've got a smaller system,
Of course. Well,
and they're not metered.
yeah, it's just not me.
There's nothing comparable.
So $60 a month or 60?
He says 60 a month according to the article. Flat, because they don't bill per
Use.
water. Yeah.
Well,
So there's really nothing much we can do about it. The rate study speaks for itself, and that's all we can do. Furthermore, the school, I met with the school board members on the school meter. He came and asked me, why was it taking 2 years and all this time, and so I told him the truth, that I've explained it to the superintendent multiple times what needed to be done, and it was not getting done. They continued to not hire a engineer to figure out what their water demands were. So today I met with the engineer that they ended up sending up here, and in less than 5 minutes he totally understands. Says he's going to send us a letter asking for a 2-inch meter. They're going to isolate the fire hydrant like I've been telling them, and the 2-inch meter, they're going to save close to $1,700 a month by
Yeah.
going with the 2-inch meter.
Nice.
So it looks like maybe finally the school issue is going to be resolved.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
gotta keep
good.
on trying and trying and trying, and now maybe it's going to be resolved. So that'll be a big weight off everybody's shoulders.
Yeah,
So
2 inches a much more reasonable charge.
yeah, and that's what I've been telling them. They just need to figure out what their water demands were. I guessed a 2-inch, but I'm not an engineer, so I can't know what their demands are for the water, as a school. But
Right.
You're not an engineer.
I'm not an engineer. That's right. Also, the local water districts are getting together better than ever now. Mrs. Carroll, I forget her first name, down in Lebec, she sent an email. Jessica Carroll. Some of the other districts haven't done yet, so they're going to do a hour and a half webinar about that, and everybody's invited to participate, whoever's interested. But then she also feels like if you guys are interested, maybe we could get together just to talk about topics in general that are of mutual interest to the water company. So I'll include everybody in that and say that if you guys, if time permits, you'll do that, because I like how we're all getting together more and talking more. So and for my regular manager's report, we only had one after hours call out last month, one mainline repair, which was a 2-inch on Mount Pinos. Last night we had a leak on Los Padres again, one of our favorite streets. We got called out, newspaper was there, huge amount of water, but it turned out to be a 4-inch, so I had to rent a pump.
Yeah. How'd that go? Because
It went fine. It went fine because I have a history guy, but then when he started wanting all kinds of credit references, and so not him, and he said it was going to take a couple days. I just have him bill us when we have to rent something, but they changed their policy. For those of you who didn't read your emails, they changed their policy as far as letting us rent stuff with a credit card. Now they want to have an account open.
Who's this for?
If this is Herc Rentals, it's where we've been renting our big trash pumps. Last night we rented a 6-inch diesel trash pump, and that's what made it so we could fix the leak. So I'll have you guys sign that, or just direct me to sign it. And that's it until I get to these other items on my list. You want me to go to A?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Ace gave me 3 people that they would recommend for painting quotes for inside and outside the building. Only 2 chose to bid on the job. There's a pretty big spread on price. The one guy, Donnelly Painting, he's the only one I went over everything with. He's planning on caulking and scraping and sanding and doing everything throughout, inside and outside to make everything right. The other guy, I'm not sure how much prep he's gonna do, but you guys got the 2 quotes. Figure you guys could review them and decide if you wanted to go to either one of those.
And if it doesn't get done right, do we end up having to do it again?
Yeah,
In
we
a
would
couple
end up
years?
doing it again, because what Donnelly's planning on doing is, the beams outside, they should have been painted several years ago. So there's some cracks in them and stuff, and then he explained that this siding out here, is basically cardboard on the outside of the building, but it's got a hard layer over the top, and anytime something's bumped into it and it chips, you can literally see it's almost like a corkboard in there. So
jeez.
he said you have to caulk all that, you have to sand it and then caulk all that stuff and then paint it. And then inside, it's definitely more expensive because all the lights and all the trim and
Right.
all of those issues. So either one's gonna be fine with me, and then I'll start getting flooring quotes for you guys to start perusing. And we'll also have to, probably at the next meeting, if you guys approve a quote, we're gonna have to pick colors, because the ladies in the office have requested that we go with a different color than this. At least like a beige or something on the walls, and if you guys have some input on that.
Everybody's seen it.
Just something like an off-white or something.
It just seems like the pricing on it is so wide.
Yeah, one's double the other one.
One's double the other.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And since we can't get a third, have not been able to get a third quote.
Comfortable calling the one that is the handwritten one and saying, listen, it's pretty generic here. You don't really go into any prep. What are you planning on doing with the cracks and the, stuff like that? We're trying to compare apples to apples, and there's a big disparity in a couple bids. And, say they're the only two, but just say there's a big disparity, and then you wonder what kind of prep and because it's very limited as to what he wrote by hand. Whereas you look at the other guys, he spells out every process that he's going to do and makes you feel confident that he's going to give us a quality job. But is it worth twice as much as the other guy? Maybe the other guys that say, I'm just going to write this up, they know what I do, kind of thing. And, well, no, we don't. We haven't used you. We haven't had it painted. We don't know what the prep is, et cetera, et cetera. All he says is what kind of paint he's going to use.
Right, because
It says patch holes, brush and roll.
Donnelly says how many coats and everything, so we might want to ask.
This
them
guy
multiple
actually says
coats.
on
What
the,
did he say? I didn't-
this must be the interior, 2 coats, ceilings and
Oh, he
walls
does.
and doors, paint patch holes. Oh, and another thing that's quoted on this, at least he said he was gonna quote
The
on it, I
rust.
better make sure, it's the cabinets in the
Kitchen.
kitchen.
Is the handwritten one a local painting contractor?
Both of them, yeah.
Well, the other one's got an 805 number, so that doesn't.
Yeah, but he works off the hill and he does some
He
stuff
is,
with
he
the
is
studios.
local.
And he works with the studios as well. So, and it says Camarillo, California, but
That's what threw me off.
I think he lives up here and he does a lot of work up here,
Yeah,
which
I've
is why.
seen some of his work too.
So, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. You guys could either table this for another month while I get answers, or you could, do like normal, approve in theory on this and then seeing what we could do, or I could try to get another quote, maybe call somebody up from the valley.
We press for time to get the work done?
No, not necessarily.
Can we wait one more month to decide?
Yeah, and in the meantime, I would like to get some quotes on the flooring, but it's I haven't gotten a definitive answer of what we want to do in here. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because when we have it painted, when they did the linoleum stuff in the kitchen and the bathrooms, they wrapped it up the wall like 8 inches, which I'd never seen before. So when we go to get it painted, we don't want to have the flooring put back in that way. But in order to get the walls painted correctly, we're going to have to strip that off. So we don't want to paint until we're ready to go with whatever the next game plan is. Or maybe at least cut the flooring down off of the wall so it could be prepped all the way down to the floor. I don't know if you've ever noticed here, but you can notice it break. They just take the flooring and they wrap it all the way up the wall, and it's that high up the walls.
Well, that's in place of using the cove base.
Yeah.
The cove base is the 4-foot strips that have the little edge and the rounded thing, so that when you're mopping, you're not discoloring the bottom 6 inches of the wall. It's usually 6 inches. I don't know if it's 8, but it's usually 6 inches.
And I didn't actually measure, but it's never looked attractive to me the way they did it. And,
Well, it's standard in the industry.
and usually go around cabinets and stuff like that too.
Anyway,
I was
yeah,
thinking if
let's
we're
get
gonna
some
change the
quotes.
floors, that we, keep the offices carpeted and
Yeah.
keep the meeting room, the kitchen, and the entry out to the front door with a tile or a washable surface. That's where all the traffic is, and
Yeah.
that would allow us to still keep some warmth and some sound. I mean, you put tile or linoleum in the offices, it's gonna be much colder and also much noisier.
Yeah.
With the front office, the guys walk in a lot, so that's probably gonna have to be whatever we
Okay,
put.
well, the two other back
But
offices for
these,
sure.
yeah, these two, no.
But then we also got an issue which we might be able to resolve it with hanging cloth curtains. But it already, when you stand in the front office, it echoes out in the office with just blinds and stuff. When we
Oh.
get rid of the carpet, it's going to echo even more.
Yeah, is
So
it
we need some kind of-
imperative the guys go in that office? 'Cause I know there's that short door they can stand and do a lot of paperwork at.
Well, they have to come in and do the telemetry, get on the telemetry, and they have to get out of the way of customers when they're at the counter, and they can't really stand it. I mean, I could
Well, I mean, a side count.
stuff. So
And there's times that they.
I mean, they can try to wipe their boots better too, but you know, invariably it'll be 3 o'clock in the morning and there'll be a big old leak and everybody's all hot and tired and wet, and you come into the office and you have to look at maps and turn on or off wells and pumps, and then that's when we get it. It's not like every day that they're pigs. It's just that once in a while somebody comes tromping through boots, and then there we go. But I don't even think it's really the mud that's the major issue. I think that will, that'll clean up. Most of this stuff is all coffee stains and things of that nature that do not go away. Plus, this carpet's 20 years old, so. Billy suggested, I think it was Billy, but to get a high traffic cleaning, go with the school grade, something that's really durable, that'll clean well. So that's another option. Go with probably thinner padding, and so it cleans better, and go that route. So we don't have to decide right now, but when I start getting quotes, I need to have just a basic idea of what we're going to be going with.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah.
With the article in the paper, and here we are talking about repainting and recarpeting and redoing something to make us feel good. Not necessarily to make our pipes better. Why are we discussing this?
Because ultimately the problem is that when you, especially the paint on the building, when you neglect it, and then you have to go back and fix what's falling off because it's rotted,
Yeah,
you're paying way more money. And since
It's about maintenance.
Yes,
until we
exactly.
did the
Thank
upkeep,
you.
until we did the rate study, no upkeep was happening, no maintenance was happening, and all of our dog houses are falling down, and the trucks were falling apart, and the dump site and the office is falling apart. When you go outside and you look, all the fascia boards, which is the first thing that cracks, and everything, it's all dry wood. The paint's coming off it. The beams out front are cracking all the way through it because there's no sealant on it. You just can't continue. We got upset when we bought the new trucks, but that was part of the rate study, was the upkeep and maintenance of the system. So, I mean, we put it off again, but that's kind of what the...
That's the whole reason our infrastructure is in the condition it is. There was never any maintenance. Only the worst of repairs were done, and we've ended up having to dig ourselves out of a hole. Now, the way you said it, to make us feel good, I think is a better in building and in my own home and other applications that I see it. If you don't keep it up, the damage will become more and more costly, and then you're talking about replacing these boards as opposed to sanding, patching, and painting them. So it's an ongoing, Mother Nature will reclaim whatever is left to her ways.
Oh, absolutely.
So I really beg to differ that it's not just to make us feel good, that it's a sick. We need to keep
Well, I
it
mean,
in
I
good
think
work.
we're at a
Excuse
point.
me, I'm not
Okay,
done.
Sorry. Yeah.
That we need to continue to maintain it so that it keeps its longevity and its life and we're not having to, oh yeah, we gotta re-stucco this, or we gotta re-sheetrock that, or, you know, we're gonna change a few panels of outside when we could have really, you're ensuring your investment here for the longer run. And I think we need to look at it and talk about it in those terms.
Yeah, because I mean, it was, you know, I haven't been here all that long, and I'm just like, okay, you know. Yes, John.
Just so you know, we've been, the discussions on changing the flooring and stuff like that have probably been going on for at least 5 years around here. But it's been put off and put off and put off. And because we didn't have the money, we didn't want to do it. So for at least 5 years, that's been the discussion with the cheapest thing that's going to last well.
The longest. Yeah.
Has been our goal. So I've been here 9 years now, and I know that for most of that time it's been talked about at some point replacing the flooring and doing the paint job. So
Yeah, I've only been here a year, so I'm just like, okay, you know, I mean, that's fine.
I think part of the 218 and all the departments or the compartmentalization of our monies and where they need to be. I don't think there ever was any money to put back in our monies, and you have to save for all the things that people, oh, you don't really need it. Well, you know what? Yeah, we do. You know, not every year, not every, you know, other year, but we need to take care of the investment that we are charged with responsibility of. And some people don't like to paint their house very often, or some like to paint it maybe more, but I think the fact and the history that Johnny brings to the table is very pertinent, and that we have been kicking this ball around for at least 5 years. So just to catch you up on some of the background.
Well, that's why I asked the question, because, you know, I don't know.
And if you walk around, you look at all these blinds and all that, everything else, that even the front door, the molding can't be replaced. They recommended we just replace the front doors. We haven't done that. The glass is literally, you could just push it out with your hand, and because nobody's done any of the maintenance. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've been on the
Lisa.
board since 2004, and to my knowledge, none of this has ever been done since I've been on the board.
Johnny, if and when we do the painting, you know, hopefully we can, you know, spring for a couple clips you can screw on the face of the door, so every time you paste a note on the door for, you know, quick response, it doesn't peel the tape off of it.
We also came up with another great idea too that you'll be happy with. Tiffany came up with a cork board, but this guy Donnelly, he said for the movies, they have the like 4x8 sheets of it's like a cork board that they paint the same color as the walls for different movie sets, but not expensive. We could put it up there as well for all our maps to be pinned to, and it'll still blend in and look good. So, and if we can't get that same stuff, which he said is cheap, then we'll just do like Tiffany said, get a huge cork board, and like you said, the clips, and because as soon as tape hits that door, that's what happens with it. So we try not to tape things on there anymore anyway, but the damage is done.
I would like to see us get a quote from Bakersfield, just to see, like a professional painter, and just to see what they come in at.
Yeah,
so
see,
we have a better idea.
I'd gotten another quote a while back from a local guy, but he's like a handyman and he does good work.
Yeah.
And he came in about mid-range between these two, but we got to have people that are, you know, licensed and bonded and all of that stuff. I couldn't use him, so I'll call somebody from Bakersfield and have them come up here.
Yeah,
and I'll give them the specs without any prices of what these guys say they're going to do, and say I want a quote comparable with the same stuff done as this, and then give me a price, and then that way it'll be more fair. I'll white out all the dollar amounts.
You could also do that with our other quote, as you could say, you know,
Can you
could
re-quote?
cross off who it is,
Yeah.
cross off the dollar amounts, and say, you know, this is what we got from someone, you know, with this in mind, which we really like the breakdown. Does that increase your price? Does it stay the same? And how much, if it increases it, would it increase, you know, and then can you break down?
It's a great idea. Okay.
So
that was a good topic to bring up. Got some good input on that, so I'll take care of that.
Thank you. Okay, on to B.
You're gonna love this one.
Purchasing the new dump truck.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been
Got someone
talking
to
about that
donate
one now.
This is the least favorite that you guys are gonna have for a long time, but this is the issue with the dump truck. I got a dump truck quote, 4-wheel drive, F550, 3-yard dump, so it's smaller than our 5-yard that we got out there. $81,733. To get another quote, Billy has gone on his own time. I have gone multiple times. Haddad Dodge, they said that they can't even get us a quote because there was only 2 trucks left that they could find in California. They were of the 20 placed it by today. Otherwise, they're not even taking orders until later on this year. July, August, somewhere around there, because the manufacturer is gearing up for the 2019 models or 2018 models. No, happy 2019 models. So right now I got a quote for $81,000, which that's about where I suspected it was going to be. I would suggest that you guys do like you did with the regular trucks. Decide first of all if you're going to approve. Try to find something for the cheapest price I can somewhere in California, because even if I had to drive to San Diego to get one, that's fine. But when Haddad was researching, they said, oh well, there's two trucks. She got to one, said okay, well that one sold. Now there's one more left, and then not long after that, she said, well now that one's been sold too, and now you have to wait till July or August to place an order. So
Now, are you looking at brand new vehicles?
yeah.
Do we need a brand new vehicle?
Well, I'll put it this way. For the first few years that I worked here, Greg caught major resentments over the fact that he bought a used vehicle, a backhoe, and then it cost a lot of money to keep it running because there was issues with it. So I've been checking into it, and most of the time when you buy a used vehicle, I'm absolutely willing to get one. Anything's better than the one we got. A new vehicle is going to last a lot longer. It's going to have a warranty. It's going to work. But if we get one and then the engine fails or the rear end blows out or just whatever it may be, whatever the issue is, I just don't want to feel like I let the district down by saying I want to buy a used vehicle. So that's my only concern.
Lisa.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened on the backhoe. It's like we saved, I don't know, $30,000 or something on the front end, and then we spent all that pretty much
On the back end.
on the back end because everything started going wrong with it pretty rapidly.
Now, granted, that was from a rental company, and sometimes you could get lease trade-ins from bigger companies that have a mileage cap. When they reach a certain mileage or hour cap, then they trade them in, and so you may be able to get something like that. But have full responsibility if we get it, and then it turns out to be a lemon, because I don't want to have that.
Because we gave Greg a lot of grief.
I don't want to be that responsible. I mean, I remember Greg sitting in that office just rubbing his head, you know, oh shit, it needs a new wiring harness. I have to take it to the board. And I don't want to be that guy. So it's up to you guys. You guys direct me and I'll do it.
Lisa.
And can I ask, it's a dumb question, but I know that they have, you know, you can get a truck and then separately get a back end that's a dump truck.
Okay, you're talking about getting a cabin chassis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
which is basically what even the dealer does. The dealer buys the chassis and then they buy the bed. Now we could go to places. I actually reached out to a step uncle of mine, but he had just sold the company the month before, Santa Fe Truck Body, and it was also called Lee Brothers. That's what they did. And but he sold it. He retired finally, and he sold it a month before I needed him. But that is another option. You're not particular about what we get as far as the dump bag goes. The main thing is I looked into dump trailers that they got. Problem is they're all electric dumps. When they get filled up with wet mud, they won't dump anymore. You got to lift them up with the loader or the backhoe and help assist them. If you get a dump bed, a lot of them are coming electric now. We don't want that. We want what's called a PTO that comes straight off the motor, and the motor powers the dump up. So those are the requirements that you got to have. Which plus we need to have the towing capability, which is why it gets more expensive. The towing capability to tow our portable generator around, because as of right now, we have nothing that will tow our portable generator around to the sites.
the leak truck can't handle it.
Remember, the leak truck is leaking oil out of every orifice on the motor, and they wanted $13,000 to replace the motor. we can't even park it anywhere where there's a well because the oil is going to leak into
To the ground.
the water supply. So
Which
that
we
was
also got the leak truck used.
that was my first thought. And when I took it down to Ford to get the quote on that, on just fixing it, they said we have to pull the whole motor, we have to tear the whole motor apart. The motor's already got X amount of miles on it. We recommend you just replace the motor and then there's other problems besides the motor because it's an old ancient truck. So my thought is when we do when we do this, we also trade in the dump truck and then we try to trade in the leak truck and get the overall cost down, and then not also have to go through the auction issues to stay legitimate with the public on our old equipment. That'll bring it down some.
Another question.
Lisa.
Because if we traded in the leak truck, really, if we got a good solid dump truck, it could function in some ways as the leak truck too, because we could
Tow a trailer, yeah.
a trailer with all the leak stuff, and so
Yeah.
we wouldn't necessarily need the leak truck.
Exactly. And the leak truck was just it was a good deal at the time when Greg bought it, and it was a great idea, but it
Needs an engine now.
needs an engine, the bed, the bump, it just rocks it, and it's just gonna beat up. So if we could get off the two, I don't know if they'll take two, but if they'll take two in as trade-in, that may bring the cost down some and then get us what we want. But I'm all for looking at used vehicles if you guys direct me to do so. But if I get scolded, I'll be sure to say, wait a minute,
I told you so.
don't blame me.
Well, I
But
mean,
we might be able to get a great vehicle too.
right, but the question is, so if we get a new dump truck, how long will that last?
Well, as long as, barring what happened to the last one, I don't even know if the last one was new, but as soon as they got it, somebody rolled it, and that was when the problem started. So I don't anticipate us rolling the brand new dump truck,
Yeah, that's
and
not good.
it should last a long time. It's an hours thing, and we don't put that many hours on our vehicles. The construction equipment typically is based on hours, not miles.
Right.
And we typically don't run it nonstop all the time, so it should last a long time.
Lisa.
I have a question because, when we did the Prop 218, he was talking about us financing some stuff. Would you be able to find out how much more, what the financing interest rates are? Because I know that that's something else we've talked about, is not necessarily trying to come up with,
Yeah, maybe putting 20 grand
$80,000
down
out of
and
pocket.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if we're able to do and kind of see if you can get an idea of what the trade-in values might be, and then I
Yeah.
think we'll have a better
Well, I just got some
place to
forms
decide from.
for Carmenita Truck Center. I went to them because they're in Santa Fe Springs and they're big.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to them. They sent me forms where you take pictures, you list everything on the forms, they give you an approximate price, and then they just verify when you go down there that you told the truth about it. If there's no hidden things that they didn't see on the description, then that's what you get. So I could get a general idea on the trade-in as far as that goes, and I'll see what it is for financing. Because I've been telling them, we'll just pay with a check, because I was hoping that the year-end
Yeah, sometimes.
trucks, they would just want to get them off their lot and they would give us a better deal, but I don't think that's the case. To be honest with you, a lot of them act like they're not even that interested. As soon as we mention government pricing, they don't really care. They want to sell it for top dollar because there's not enough of them being sold. So as soon as I say we get government pricing, they're kind of lackadaisical about even wanting to return the quote.
I think it'd be worth finding out the difference between, if we can actually get a drop in price
Yeah.
cash, or,
Yeah,
and it may be worth it to us if it's not high interest to finance so that we have money. I mean, it just kind of depends. If we can drop the price by, thousands of dollars by paying full cash, then it makes sense too.
Yeah, and I'll absolutely do that, and I'll also go. I was just told that Fresno is a better place to look for
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
construction equipment because they're more used to dealing with all the farms and everything. So I'll just take a day trip up to Fresno and start hitting all the places up there and get a better idea for it. I never thought about going to Fresno. If you go to buy a car, you typically go to LA because it's cheaper than a lot of places.
yeah.
So I'll go to Fresno for the trucks, and I'll even look at some used ones and see what you guys think about that. So next month I'll come back with some more information for you on this.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My nephew lives in Fresno, and that's what he does for a living, is he drives heavy equipment.
Yeah.
Been doing it for years and years and years. And just because he's my nephew, he's not young. He's my great nephew.
Yeah.
My nephew's as old as me. So he's probably 45. He's been driving heavy equipment for 20 years. So he would know.
That'd be perfect.
I'll give him a call now.
Yeah, if you give me some leads, that'd be great. Okay, I'll go up there and do that. All right. Now it's Tiffany's turn.
I think you're a little older than 45, right? Dave?
Oh,
Oh, no, hey.
That's my great nephew, my nephew.
Oh, okay.
We're talking much older than that.
Okay, on to C, Administrative Assistance Report.
Okay, I got a few things. One is CSDA, which is California Special Districts Association. They're the ones who do my board clerk conference. Well, that's a membership. We're not a member of them, but they were offering a 90-day free trial. I talked to Johnny about it and figured there's no catch on the free trial. You're not going to auto roll into a membership. He made me look at all of that, made sure it's free and clear. So the good thing is we're saving, while we are in the 3-month trial, we save $50 a month on our website, because that's a benefit. And I'm able to kind of peruse their site, and I'm really just trying to glean everything I can from them in that free 3 months. Get all the information I can from them. So I was on their site digging into the laws, which is an advantage because they specialize in special districts. And just as a heads up, there's a law called AB 1345 that I found on there, and it was passed in 2013, and it sets a limit on how many consecutive years in a row you can use an auditing firm.
Really?
Yes, so there is a 6-year cap on it. Now, that puts us okay till the 2019 audit to use BHK, because your 6 years starts in 2014. They passed the law in 2013, says the clock starts in 2014. So we have until 2019. Now, we can still use BHK after that, but we can't use Patrick Hoffman as the supervising auditor. They would have to transfer us to another partner.
That makes sense.
So just to let you know, it is out there and something to think about
Well, that makes sense because
in a couple of years.
you don't want to get too friendly with the auditor because then there's,
So that was just FYI. So we're good on a 2018 and a 2019 right now.
Good catch on that. We wouldn't have even thought of that.
I don't know how we're supposed to know all this.
Yeah,
Lisa.
I think that being the auditing firm, so I think that we should be inviting, people all through when we, aren't pressed to switch immediately, and that way maybe we'll, should we want to switch to another company, we'll have that information way ahead of time.
And maybe if you just reach out to our auditors and say, do you have enough partners to where we could, isolate it away from Patrick because of this law?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll know ahead of time. Because the issue with changing is we're already sending stuff, like right now, to the auditors. So then if we change after this next audit, we'll have to not be sending anything to the old auditors, and we'll have to start sending them to the new.
But
I can oversee it.
I'm sure they do, because they got about 5 names on their
Right.
thing.
Yeah, Lisa.
I mean, that's our fallback. I know they have other partners. I'm just saying, look, chances are we may stay with the same firm with a different partner, but this would be a good opportunity again to look in other places, kind of understand that, and we don't have to switch anything.
Also maybe looking at, too, if we find somebody reputable that's equivalent, what is their cost, because every year they've been going up, and I'm not saying that others won't be as expensive. They probably will be, but they may not be, and we might start with a fresh. It also doesn't hurt to have a fresh set of eyes on the books that have never done it. See.
Linda.
When we
They changed auditors on us, what was about 3 years ago, and when they brought in the new auditor to work with us, he did go in and clean up stuff from the previous person.
Right.
So
Well, because other
yeah.
people have different skills, and they also see
Right.
different things, and have different levels of experience. So, you know, it's always, I think it's always a bad idea for us to maybe at some point change to another firm, just from the standpoint of transparency and being able to make sure that our books are in order, to, you know, because I mean, we watch things, we look at things, you know, and we just got to make sure that everything's on the up and up.
And I'm certainly not attached, I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I know that.
we all can just, yeah, it's no big deal changing once a year for a few months. And
I'm surprised the auditors didn't say something about this law.
6 years, but
Yeah.
they're not going to volunteer before the 6 years.
No, like Tiffany said, they pass these laws, they don't publicize them, you know, normally. You think a law like that, they would, you know, send out a flyer or a handout to everybody that's affected by that. But they don't do that. They count on us knowing, have a full-time attorney on retainer. So luckily she checked the website and found it.
They'll probably send it all out like right before the 6th
Probably.
year.
Yeah, before you even have a chance, and now your old auditor's already got all your documentation, so. Okay, so.
So, next.
Next item, I did some updates to the website, trying to keep it fresh. So I added our 2017 audits on there now. I did add some information about the meter replacement project, just to kind of support planning grant application. So if you ever feel like perusing it and making sure what I said all makes sense, and, you know, double check me. And then finally, today there was a seminar in Bakersfield on the special assessments that we do every year. So I went because information is always good, and learned a couple things. So that's coming. I'll be working on that in May and June. So that's it.
Okay. Very good.
Good job,
You just stay on
Tiffany.
top of it all. Okay. On to 7, ad hoc committee reports. There's nothing on, Lisa and I have not done anything on the Sigma. You have,
The only ad hoc that's currently meeting, because we voted to prioritize the additional
MOUs.
properties that
yeah.
want to be a part of. We, Director Nyman and myself, participated in a phone conference call, and it was decided that we're going to our lawyer, in conjunction, the lawyer for Lake of the Woods was a part of that call. We decided that we're going to go ahead and wrap up some of the asset list. There were still some questions on it, and I noticed, you know, that there's still some questions. Looking at the emails I got, are, for the most part, we're going to do a draft of the MOU. We're going to do a letter of intent, so that people who currently, what we had decided as a board and what we agreed with on the ad hoc is that what we want to do is we want to reopen up the ability to be a part of the project. We came up with a drop dead date of 90 days or 60 days. I don't know, it's pretty short drop dead date, which we haven't actually set the actual date, I don't believe yet. But basically we were saying sooner rather than later. And so what's going to happen is we're going to be sending, I don't know if Johnny's already done that or not.
What's that?
Are we in the process of doing what we need to do to send information back out to the other, or are we waiting for the letter of intent to do that?
We're waiting for everything. Everybody said that we got plenty of time, and they're trying to figure it out, all the attorneys and stuff. And you guys said that you wanted to get together at that phone conference. I thought you guys decided that you wanted to.
But we're supposed to come up with a drop dead date to send stuff back out around to people.
Yeah, I mean, once we send it out, you know, what the date is, and I recommend 60 days, but that's entirely up to you guys.
Well, I thought with Carlos and all of them that we had set a date.
No.
No, because we still have to, you know, we still have to get the letters prepared again. That's going to go out. I'm going to have to go out and canvass the houses that they opted not to join the last time, and give them the option to join now. But on that letter, it's got to dictate you have until such and such a date to respond, to join, or forever hold your peace. And we should run an ad in the paper as well that we're making these, you know, we're going to allow more people to join in the annexation, and you have till this date. Because we don't want to have to redraw all the maps, and we don't want to have to go through all that again. So you guys as a board will have to pick a final date, and then once we get the final date, we can prepare the letters for me to actually go out and start canvassing again.
Right. So what we're waiting on right now, to my understanding, and Director Nyman can agree or disagree, is that my understanding is that right now we're waiting for both lawyers in conjunction with each other to come up with a final draft, but it's still going to be a draft, and we're not going to actually sign it. So the MOU will be unsigned, because the reality is we don't really need the MOU changes along the way, but they're going to present to us a letter of intent, and that letter of intent should cover enough so that anyone who still wishes to join understands the nature of the project, and you know, it has basically a good understanding of what's involved.
Because basically what they said was that the Prop 1 money will be gone by the time we get to construction phase. That particular Prop 1 money will not be there. So, but they say, so I know the state wants it to happen, so we will have to see about getting, once we have the planning completely done and we know the cost, then we have to go to the state and federal for funding to make this happen.
And we talked about trying to apply for that sooner rather than later, because the amount of time it took between the pre-planning as far as the test wells is going to be to try to apply for that construction money a little bit sooner in the middle of before we end the planning phase, so that we hopefully can not have such a long stretch of time. The other thing that was discussed that we didn't understand previously is that there is more time. There are additional extensions that can be done on the annexation. So right now, one of our big concerns with pushing the MOU forward was, sooner, was because we were really concerned about the annexation, and we didn't want to have to follow through with the annexation and then not have a correct understanding between us and Lake of the Woods and us and the other owners. So it actually, we have more time, and then we still have the option that means that it's not, we were pushing to get the MOUs in earlier, but it's not is imperative that they be in. It's actually imperative that we wait as long as possible, so that we put, in case information changes between now and towards the end of the planning, that we actually are able to include that in the signed final MOU.
Right. And so, I think once we get into that planning, that we'll have to try and push the engineers a little bit more faster, because they tend to pad their stuff, and we'll have to continue to try to get them to do it as soon as possible. Be dealing with like DEM and trying to keep, we'll have to keep on top of what they're working on and what their time frame is. So.
And then we were going to try to do a much simplified letter of intent and draft MOU for the individual well owners, so that's also going out, so that it's really clear, because still there's some misunderstanding about what's involved. So hopefully it'll be really clear to individual well owners, if they should want to join onto the project, what's involved. Oh, and then the last thing is that we're actually altering, in the draft that you guys saw, there is another paragraph that's gonna go in there, so once they've done it, we can print that out, so in there that we, could just nix the project if we didn't get money. It was talking about loans and all kinds of stuff, and my issue was that it needs to have some kind of wording that if the money becomes so prohibitively high, like based on this person that was already talking about Fraser Park's prices being too high, the cost for paying a loan would be borne by the Lake of the Woods customers, and if we're not able to get grants because the money's gonna run out, which was our big worry in the first place, is that's why we were trying to rush along, is that we thought we were still gonna be able to get that Prop 1 money, but now it's absolutely going to be gone, and so we're gonna have to reapply for other money. So our fear is that if we don't have other money, that it turns into loans and that the cost becomes so exorbitant that Lake of the Woods customers wouldn't be able to pay. So we put in a additional paragraph that says, should that occur, that they have the ability to say no, and it would stop.
And it just stops.
Yeah, it would just stop. So we just wanted a fail-safe sort of, we're not just gonna it's not gonna move forward no matter what,
Good.
putting huge loans on Lake of the Woods.
Right.
Because they're gonna become our customers, and then what, they're gonna be paying, $250 a month for water bill, something
Instead of the
that they can't.
114?
Yeah, something that they can't pay ever. So we were concerned about that, so that's gonna be in the wording also. So we haven't gotten, did you get new, I didn't see an
If
email.
you're using $114, you're using a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of water.
That's a lot
because
of water.
I use a fair amount of water, and I had a leak.
Well,
and
that's
mine
just what it
still
said in the
was-
paper.
Yeah, I know, but mine still was like at 70
I know.
or something, so.
I mean, I average $64 a month.
I think my highest has
So-
been 66, so.
Yeah, so I mean, either you have
Yeah.
a bigger.
So if somebody is using
Line.
114, they're actually using quite a bit of. They must
Either
either
that
have
or
a
they
big
got-
family
Mine was
or they have a leak.
127.
Huh?
That's what my landlord said.
What?
Then you may have a
127.
leak, because
you might
that's
have a
really
leak.
hard for someone with a
Yeah.
house as small as yours without any,
With no
yard,
lawn.
landscape,
Yeah, and, you know,
landscaping.
I mean, we do laundry and like,
I do
but
laundry for
there's,
3 people,
there's,
there's three
three of
people.
us taking showers, but
There's 3 people in my house, and it's not costing me that.
yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
So anyway,
You might
so
have Johnny or somebody come out and
check
look at your meter
check
and see if
Yeah,
your
I-
meter is running when your water is off, because
Yeah, I think they did a meter check. I talked to Cassandra. They were going to do a reread. My landlord hasn't
But-
talked to me
but-
since. This was 2 months ago. So my bill was 127.
but what I'm saying is that you can look into the meter box and see if the meter is running. If you have your water turned off and
Yeah,
the
if
meter
it's
is running, then
turning-
you have a leak on your side.
Oh,
I'll be happy to look for you.
okay, thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, because even with a leak, I had a leak. I had a toilet that was leaking and a sink that was leaking, and now they're not. But even with that leak, my bill was nowhere
Yeah, I mean,
like that.
But your
had-
bill
I had a
also,
leaky,
I mean, we didn't have a $60.50 base rate either. It was $39 at the time.
No, right now I had
You had another leak?
I had another
Because
leak.
you had a leak for,
I know
year or
for
two.
that was a leak yard. That was a whole different leak. So this leak, which got fixed a couple months ago, I also didn't realize I didn't realize I had a leak. But when I realized I had a leak and it
I'll
got
try
turned
it
off,
now. Maybe I got a little bit more
I-
spare time now.
yeah.
yeah, I'll
So-
check it for you.
Thanks.
It shouldn't be nearly that high. Mine was never that high.
Yeah.
Except when I used to water way back
I'm
then.
pretty sure that if she said she was gonna do a reread, she did one. I'm pretty sure she's not gonna just neglect.
Yeah,
order
I know.
your,
I know she would,
request, But
you
we'll
know.
check and see. And then I'll call you.
Okay.
Okay,
Call me what?
any more ad hocs?
No.
Okay. Financial business, Linda.
I didn't get to see any of the financials.
Oh, yes.
Okay, our current balances total $1,129,596.82. Our operating account as of March 31, 2018 had a balance of $250,078.04. I also wanted to let you know that starting in May, I'm going to start putting together a draft for next year's budget, and I'm also starting to prepare for the audit for year end June 30th, 2018. So I'm just letting you know that those are what I'm working with. Also, I wanted to let you know that we did receive, and I don't know if Johnny already mentioned this, we received insurance claim on the truck, number 226 that was in that accident. So we did receive the funds on that, and those were deposited into the account. And on your list of most of the checks for the vendors are same as normal. I did want to bring a couple of items to your attention. The property insurance amount was $4,021. That's actually down by $312 from the prior year. So last year it was $4,333.
I just had a question on that because you have a little notation on here. It says property program renewal billing for 4/1/18 through 4/0. I just wondered what it actually is.
No, it cuts off. In the computer it has the whole description, but on the check it only prints out.
So what is it through?
Through the 2019.
Okay, so 4/01/19.
Correct. We got our final bill from the auditors. The total this year was actually lower than the prior year by about $450. So I wanted to let you know that. I have a feeling if they don't raise their rates next year, we should be a little lower because we'll have things
Well, we had extra
resolved.
this year
Exactly.
with some of the things that we checked into, so.
Exactly. So.
Well, that was a separate amount for that extra stuff. That wasn't for the audit itself,
Right.
but it's better organized this year, so it doesn't require as much of their time. I think that's why it's
Exactly,
less.
and one of the things that I'm working on too is scanning the stuff into QuickBooks. So if there's a invoice they want to look at, they can actually go into QuickBooks and see the actual invoice. Been having a little difficulty with it, so I'm
Right.
still working to see what we can do to make that scanner work.
Linda, do
directly
you
with
know,
QuickBooks.
I had said something a little earlier because I was looking, we're down to 6 employees now, and so we're paying the insurance, and it says 7 employees for the month of May. Do we have to carry him for 1 month, or?
I don't know what your policy is.
She doesn't deal with insurance at all. She just pays the invoice. She's the one that handles
Oh,
all
okay.
the
All right.
insurance stuff.
All right.
So I don't know if your policy is that you keep them on. Most employers keep them on for the remaining of that month, and then they have the ability to go on COBRA. And then with COBRA, you continue to pay for that employee and then get reimbursement from the employee.
Lisa.
But generally that's only if the employee is out of work for some reason. Isn't this person switching to another
He
He
job?
doesn't want Cobra anyway. Cobra's very
No,
expensive.
No,
and he doesn't want it anyway.
he quit, so.
But you can offer it to him because it costs the company no money. It's just
Well, you're
it's
required
extra
by law to
administrative
offer
fees.
it to them.
Right.
Right,
You're
so.
required
already
to
said
offer
that.
them.
So
COBRA.
anyways, she's gonna check it out because the check that we have says for the month of May 7 employees, so they will have to give us a reimbursement or, and make sure we get that code or whatever. I just kinda wanted to say it so it'd be on record.
We still have a credit balance with Beeline of $840.81, which I previously advised Johnny, so he's aware. So when they need items from
Get chlorinator pumps for us and do some repairs for us. But whenever I buy a chlorinator pump, because they're pricey, they're like $600 to $800. I go with a sale if they got it somewhere, or I go with Beeline. So not a real big hurry to spend that money until there's a good reason to.
We have a credit with them for how much?
$842.
Okay.
What is B Communications company?
That's
It just
And
says B. Is it supposed to be BTE?
There's B Communications and there's BTE.
What is B Communications?
oh, you know what? B Communications is actually the check that we for our credit card payment
Right.
or part of the SCADA upgrade. So,
Okay.
so that brings us to the point, you know, I asked you to track that stuff. Now, Brahma is gonna need a list of what needs to be transferred out of the
Which account,
USDA replacement fund. So
which replacement fund to put it into our
And
operating fund.
she gave me an update on what we've spent to date, so that's including this check.
That's including the check to Nicom Center.
And
But that did not include B Communications. I didn't realize B Communications was part of that.
Oh, it should, I think it says right on the.
And for tracking purposes, I think that we should do each payment out of the replacement account separately so that it's very easy to track on the audit and other things.
Credit card, we need to like specify that in the amount.
Okay. All right.
Because we're not done yet either, so.
Right, no, I'll wait
Still got more to
till,
go,
we can
so-
wait till we're done, and then we'll transfer the money out, but I just wanted to make sure that we were on top of it, cause I saw that and it just tickled my memory that we were supposed to take it from the replacement
I
fund.
gotta do a huge battery replacement thing too. It turns out that half our sites have got the wrong size batteries in them for the telemetry, and our solar at McGee, the reason it doesn't work is because it's a residential size solar panel with undersized batteries, so that's why it drops communication every night. Different things that we're just working through.
Who set those up? Didn't the people that
I have no
we
idea.
bought them from set it up?
I have no idea, but the batteries had to be replaced periodically. And when they were getting replaced, I think they were getting replaced with just cheaper batteries, cheaper dry cell type batteries instead of the
Who does the maintenance on those?
deep cell. We do. Or P&J when in the project, or you know, if a battery fails or whatever, then we bought them. But we personally have not bought any batteries since Greg's been gone. Other people, when you buy them, you just got to make sure you get the correctly sized
Well,
one.
that's my point.
Yeah.
If we aren't making sure they're the right equipment,
Well,
then there's a problem.
I do make sure. That's
Well, you're just saying, telling me now that they're the wrong batteries,
I'm saying that
they're undersized.
I'm saying I did
it's the
not.
wrong
I'm
equipment.
saying I said I did not buy any of this wrong equipment prior to my promotion. It was bought by Greg or whoever initially put it in. Is what I'm saying. Everything needs to be changed, which I've been checking up on it to find out what the deal is, why they're not working, why they're not lasting, why there's not communication all night long, and that's what I've discovered.
You're talking about the new cabinets we had installed with the project.
No, the new cabinets were the motor controls and stuff. I'm talking about have the backup battery in it.
Absolutely.
And then our sites that don't have power to them, like McGee and Forestry, they rely on a solar panel and batteries that are going to charge it. They're charging enough to where you could run it for night, but not all through the night. Or it doesn't charge enough to where when you get cloud cover and the solar panels aren't charging enough, it's just not enough. So now I'm talking to Ness, who's doing the computer upgrade. He's just going to spec it out for me what I should buy, what I need to buy.
And then we can replace
And then
them.
we will buy them, and we will replace them ourselves to save money.
Right. Yeah, because I just don't, because the thing is, I know you're on top of it. Because sometimes, you know, when somebody's doing maintenance, they might go out and say, oh, we need a new battery, and then they just order what battery was already there. So, but I know you're.
What's already there, or what's the cheapest, or whatever.
Right, but
I'm not geared like that. I want to make sure we get the right ones.
No, I appreciate
And
that.
Forestry has never communicated with us, and the reason why, what I'm told, the antenna hasn't been high enough. So for 15 years, it hasn't communicated because the antenna hasn't been high enough. So, true, that's something that we need to fix too, which is a relatively cheap fix. So anyway, that's part of this upgrade is going to be upgrading the telemetry like it was supposed to be. And
Sure.
I want to get it back to where it's supposed to actually be. So.
Where it was supposed to have been?
Well, you know, things change and things happen, and people, you know, do the best they can with the knowledge that they have, and they think that, you know, this battery is the same dimensions, it's the same thing, it's cheaper, I'm doing a good thing for the district, I'm saving you money, I'm buying it. You know, there was never any malice, you know, it was just, you know, hey, look, I can get this battery this much cheaper, why don't I go with this battery? Well, that's not always the best case, but that was the best information available at the time.
But we know now.
Yeah.
Another invoice that's not usual is we reimbursed Logan for his water
Class.
operator 1 course.
Yeah.
And then also on Young Woolridge, their statement included another invoice for $58.50, but we never got that invoice. So we're in the process of asking them to send us an invoice so we can make sure that it is correct for us to pay or not. So we paid all of that statement except for the $58.50.
And to back up just for a second, Logan got an A on his school, so
That's awesome.
Cool.
I'm proud of him.
Lisa?
B Communications is not part of the telemetry. It's actually a Panasonic wireless headset.
Oh, that's for the front desk. That's where the name was. That's who did our phone upgrade a few years ago. That's what it was. Hard to keep track of all the vendors.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Thanks.
make a note of that so we don't accidentally include that.
Yes,
Can I
Dave.
say something?
Yes.
You know what? I just from being around the community, and I've lived up here for 30 years, so I know quite a few people, and I'm astonished at some of the negativity that comes out of people's mouth about our water company, about our fire department, about our sheriff department, about our people that serve you. And I'm sitting here watching a group of people with hearts of service, and I want to thank you, because I'm listening to you
Thank you.
talk, and I know that everything in your heart is to try to make our community better off. And I was a carpenter all my life, German carpenter, and I know what it is to be like in Johnny's shoes when I was hired to put in, say, cabinets into an old house and to do a remodel on an old house. And the walls are out of plumb, the corners are not square, the floor is not level, the ceiling's
Well,
not
that must
level.
be Fraser Park.
Oh yeah. And so you try to put in cabinets square into it's like putting a square peg in a round hole. It's very difficult, right? And to keep the customer satisfied and their cabinets look good, right? And that's what I see happening here because of the fact that the water system is so old. And there's so much that needs to be repaired. And people, how long was it between the time there was actually a a rate increase? I don't
wasn't
think
it
I
for 20
remember
years?
another one.
It was like 15 years or something like that.
Yeah, because
it was a long time.
I've been here a long time and I don't remember a pay increase, a
Till
cost
recently,
increase
last
until
5
recently.
years, right?
Yeah, and then I have a niece that lives in Court Sill for the base price for water in Court Sill. So I just, I am going to, I have, I'm a pastor, so I have a pretty good in when I write something in the paper, we'll usually print it. I'm gonna write a thing to the paper saying, and another thing that I appreciate is that whenever I've waved to anybody from the water company, they wave back. It's
Community.
good, friendly
Community.
people. It's a community thing, and people need to understand that, there's got to be some more positive input put in to let people know what you're doing here, because it's wonderful. I just want to say that to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
For your
Thank you,
service.
Dave.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
And I know how hard you work.
Take a motion to pay our bills?
I'll make a motion that we pay our bills.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion.
Motion carried, 500. Unfinished business. Well, this is Tiffany. Discussion vote, changes on operating for banking, the district banking.
So you guys asked me to do some homework.
Yes.
You have it in your board packets. So just a quick, you're welcome to look it over. First page is for CD accounts. The interest rates I picked the top 6 that have the best rates. So CDs on the first page, money markets on the second page, and high yield savings on the third page.
Oh, Lisa.
I just have a couple of questions. One question is that I'd also be interested in how decent the websites are for each of these, because we're going to be making most likely transfers electronically. I'm familiar with 2 of them, actually 3 of them, through my own, having had them as a bank before.
Can you tell us which ones you're
Yeah,
familiar with?
Barclays, Synchrony, and Discover. So those 3 I'm familiar with. They're all pretty adequate as far as trying to do online stuff. Some of them print out things better than others, but so that I just curious about the other ones. And then I don't know if you've tried to go on or not.
It's on their websites. To get all
Capital
this
One
information.
does pretty good too.
Huh?
Capital One does pretty good too.
Okay, yeah, I just haven't dealt with them personally. And then money market accounts. Some money market accounts actually can be an issue with your principal. So I think so. The particular money market account we currently have, which is why it pays nothing, is safe, and there is no way to lose anything, principal or interest. Some money market accounts are not set up that way, and you are gambling with the money, so I would want to know which, if any of these, probably most of the high rate paying ones are not safe. So we would want to know that. CDs are safe, so that's I'm not worried about, and generally the high yield savings accounts are safe.
Those are safe. They don't yield as much as a CD.
Right.
And then just the 4th page, just so you know, I don't know if you've heard of CD laddering, but this is an example. If you want yearly access to your CDs and you want to get the best interest rate at the same time, they say you take your principal, whatever it is that you want to invest in CDs, and break it up into 5 sections. You invest in a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, and 5 year. So as soon as your 1 year comes due, it's been 1 year, you can either pull it if you need the money, or you roll it back into a 5 year. And then the following year, your 2 year comes due. And if you keep doing that, by the time everything's rolled into a 5 year, you have access to all your 5 year accounts once a year. You can pull the interest, you can use the funds, but that's just an example of how to do that.
I know predictions are not trustworthy, but I've been watching a lot of stuff on the financial channels about the new Trump tax changes and everything, and the federal deficit that we're going to be going into, and they're looking at it, like around 2020 or 2021 or whatever, we could be in some serious trouble like we were back in 2008 or whatever. So it's important that we do like Lisa said, and even the interest gained is safe, because you could almost bank on
That's part of the reason
losing money.
Well, that's part of the reasons why I wanted to get part of our money into another account, because, who knows? I mean, if the federal government says we're not paying anybody, then we're all screwed. So, but the bottom line is that if you have to have $250 per bank and they cover that, we need to move some of our money out of this bank just to protect our community.
Right, that way it's all FDIC insured and we're not going to lose anything. It's going to talk. Which is that some savings accounts on the high yield savings, they are limited as to how many times a year you can remove money as well.
That's a government restriction.
So that's,
Yeah, you can only do it a few times a year.
Yeah, I think it's 5, something like that. And then there's only so many a month.
Right.
Maybe it's more than 5 a year, but there's so many a month and so many a year. So, so that's another thing that we just need to have the detail of.
Right, but that would be
is.
across the board on the banks, because it's a government
so if you
mandated.
can can look that up, I don't know what I'm not sure what that is. But. So
Lisa, go ahead.
Just personally, because I've dealt with the certificate of deposits, I think that's probably one of the better ways to go. So a lot of these accounts that we're talking about, particularly the 2 reserve accounts, we don't touch that money at all. That money is not to be touched. It's strictly there for the USDA to have a guarantee on our bond. So, so particularly those, I don't see a problem with investing those in a longer length, or maybe ladder into a couple, but some of the longer length CDs.
Probably not, but I was just curious, do we need to talk to the USDA and say, hey, we're thinking about moving, this account, or do they not care as long as we have it in an account?
As far as I know, they don't
signatures, so
care
you
as
might
long as
wanna-
that account exists, but we could double check with them if we wanted to, but we never had to tell them what institution we were at. We just are required to have a certain amount of money in the reserve.
Okay.
We're required to
Sure.
put
All
money.
3 signatures.
At this
You sign
point,
off
one
on
of
the
them,
email.
at this point, one of them doesn't require any extra money because we actually fulfilled our obligation on the first loan. On the second loan, we are still putting money into both the reserve and the replacement. So on one of them, we're only doing the replacement, and on one of them, we're doing the reserve and replacement. But definitely on the first reserve, that money is not gonna change. It's just in a holding pattern, and the more money we can make off it that's safe, the better. Because it's just gonna help, it's not gonna hurt anything, we're not really touching that money. And I suppose because we have enough money in that account, we could, at points, if it was making enough money, remove some of the money as long as we kept the
initial.
the requirements in there. So, but I see that being something that would be a more long-term CD probably, and that would be fine. Some of the money that we need to access, like the replacement, we might wanna put in a savings account.
This sounds crazy. You ever think about buying silver?
About what?
Buying silver?
Um,
I mean, it's at an all-time low, and it's gonna go up. I mean, just 3 years ago, it was $42 an ounce. Now it's 17 or 16,
Talk to you about this afterwards.
and it's gonna go up. I mean, we got a whole bunch of silver.
Well, no, but I think that
I mean, I don't know if you can do that with a business.
well, because this is the community's money,
Right.
we want to be in something that's
Need the
guaranteed,
third one?
that's safe, and then and it
They
has
can see it.
and also has the guarantee
of not losing.
of not losing it. So if the bank goes under, the government's gonna replace that money.
Right.
And unfortunately, silver, even though it goes up, it also can go down, and then we're not guaranteeing the town that we could be. We're taking shepherding their money.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
On a personal level, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, what we do personally, maybe
Yeah.
something different.
And
But
so-
yeah,
And then we also have, so the general fund, the
the general fund we take, so let me just, I don't have the funds in front of me, but,
here,
so yeah, I have it, but I just didn't grab it. Okay, so the revenue operating fund, obviously, we use all the time, that needs to stay in a liquid
right.
account. The pre-US fund, we do borrow from periodically, but it's very periodic, but that could certainly go in like a high yield savings or something, or a safe money market, although probably the high yield savings probably pays more than a safe money market. The contingency fund, same thing, that we borrow from periodically but very rarely. The pipeline system reserve, I think, would have to be in a liquid account, even though, or a high yield savings where we can access it a couple times a year at least. The emergency reserve, same thing. We shouldn't be touching it, but if we
Yeah.
had a dire emergency, we'd want to be able to touch it. We wouldn't want it in a CD. The pre-planning fund and the Lake of the Woods planning fund need to stay, probably where they're at, because those have money only in them when we're actually doing something. And the pre-planning is going to change. That name's actually changed already.
How come we got 4 cents in there?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't know. We haven't been able to figure that out. But the USDA payment fund is only got money in it right now because they haven't taken that money out right at this moment. But usually that zeroes out as well, so that could stay exactly where it's at. The construction project fund, it's a bank at some point, but right now it's all set up and ready to go as an electronic deposit, and as an electronic
Right.
deposit and then we pay out of it by check, so we probably don't wanna mess with that. I mean, anything that we already have checks for, we probably don't wanna mess with either at the moment if we don't have to. Definitely the USDA reserves, both of those could go elsewhere, and those could actually, I believe, go into a CD, like a high yield CD if we can find one. And, that's safe. And then, the USDA replacement fund, we're already dipping into that, so we definitely need to have that in like a high yield savings or something. And then, that's it. So, a mixture of probably, I mean, we need to see if those money markets, I didn't look at the price, they were still less than the high yield savings, right? No, they were more. So we probably need to look at those and see if those are,
Well, the high yield savings are going for 1.55% on average.
oh yeah, so that's
So they're
more.
more than the money market.
Okay, so yeah, so we just need to check on the high yield savings of the amount that you can, how often you can dip into that, cause at least the reserve accounts. So do we wanna make a decision tonight? Do we wanna think on it and make a decision? I mean, it looks like the CDs are all really equivalent, pretty close.
I
Yeah.
just have a suggestion, maybe to simplify things, maybe you could make a decision on just one of the accounts that you wanna transfer, and then we'll go with the bank and see what the website looks like and see how the changeover process goes, and then you can decide on another one next month or.
that I've gotten, which is in the back. But, the thing that was this, the guy that I was talking to, he said that we would have to physically come down and, so we could sign the bank card? Is that the case with?
Not with online.
No,
Is it online?
I've actually
With
done an
online?
online savings
Okay.
account, you don't have to sign, it's all online.
Okay, cause that's what I was wondering,
I'm doing that right now with USAA with my kids' college funds, changing it to online banking. Heather set it all up from her couch today.
yeah, cause I was like,
From whose couch?
From our couch, she was just sitting there, and she, their grandpa put $5,000 per kid when he retired towards the college fund. So we did it at the bank up here, but they don't have a real college fund. You don't earn any interest. So USAA has a great one, and so you just electronically transfer the money to them, and then it sets it all up.
So these CDs, like the one for 60 months, is 2.75% interest.
Mhm.
That means that for 5 years we can't touch it,
Correct.
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 Or you get a penalty.
or you get a penalty.
right,
And then when you do touch it, you generally have to roll it over and say, well, not unless you can take it out, but. you roll
And
it.
the USDA stuff we have to keep in there for probably another roughly 25 years, right?
Yeah,
So that would be good for the long-term ones.
yeah, I believe our payment on the bond was over 40 years, and I think we're only 10,
15
12,
probably.
15 years into that, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, between 25 more.
2004, wait, we didn't even get it in 2004, yeah, it's, we're not that far into it.
The,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
thank you
guys.
so
All right,
much.
you guys have a blessed night. God
All
bless
right, you
everyone.
too.
Appreciate the vote of confidence.
All right. It's the truth. So,
Thank you.
have a good one.
God bless you.
God bless
Let me,
you.
let me see the,
Oh, I got my own, that's right in front of me. Sorry. I would definitely say that the two reserves are under 250,000, so those could both go into the same institution.
Yeah.
And in fact, we could probably even put the two reserves and the replacement, well, no, because the replacement fund's gonna keep making money, so probably not. So definitely the two reserves could go into one institution.
What about the pipeline reserve?
Even though that money goes up when we have like a new what do you call it, when someone applies to be part of the
New
system,
connection.
a new connection, and some other things go into that fund, but we also take out of that fund, so it's probably stay relatively where it is. So I mean, maybe we should move those 3 to,
I'd like to, like, maybe go with, like Barclays,
I'm super familiar with Barclays, so I
cause
don't.
they seem pretty reputable.
The only thing I don't like about Barclays is when you take money out. This was my experience. They may have changed it now, but back when I did that, when you take money out, it was hard to print out. Like it printed it out weirdly. So you just had to be careful of not clicking too quickly through the website, because if you like click on if you click off the one page, you can't print out what you just did. So that's their only issue. And back a few years ago, when I did something with them, I actually wrote them a letter, and I don't know if they
And they will
changed it or
send us paper statements.
not. If you want paper statements,
I think we should get paper
most
statements.
of the online places don't send paper statements, but you can request it.
But they could also be sent via email, and you could print the statements.
Right, you can.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
They should be sent to you as well as to the bookkeeper,
right,
so it could be in our packets, but.
right.
I know Barclays will automatically, if rates change, you automatically get the change.
If they go up or down?
No, if they go up.
Yeah, but if you do a CD with them, then that's not gonna change for, if you do 60
I think
months.
it actually does. The rate that it doesn't go down, but I think that sometimes they give you like a bonus. I don't know if it's on the CD, definitely on the savings account, but I think on the CD too.
So that's awesome, right? That's good.
Yeah, that can be really good, but I can't guarantee on this. I know that it just automatically bumps up. You don't have to like apply for it or do anything special.
I don't have any of those, I don't know.
Capital One I've never dealt with, Everbank I've never dealt with, Goldman Sachs. Synchrony I've dealt with, but not with a CD or anything, just with credit cards, and Discover I dealt with credit cards.
Everbank
But
is pretty good. I haven't dealt with Goldman Sachs, but all but Goldman Sachs I've dealt with, and they've all been pretty good, so.
So what was the hot, let's see, the
highest ones are Barclays and Goldman Sachs
for the 60
for the
month.
CD, for the 60 month.
Along the 48 month, Everbank has a better price. And on the 36, on the shorter term, Everbank's got a better amount.
Yeah. Well, we could do the 48 month Everbank.
You said you've done the website on Everbank?
I'm not the website, just the way that their statements are and dealing with them, they've always been good. I have a lot of clients with it.
I'm not familiar with that company.
Has anyone else done online banking?
I'm not familiar with that.
Jerry or Rebecca?
I do online banking, but only with my bank.
Yeah, I've never,
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with Everbank, that's why I'm a little more hesitant. That's why I wanted like Barclays or Synchrony.
They're both big
Familiar with them?
They're big banks.
Barclays has probably been around since before the rest of them.
Right, and I would prefer to go with Barclays just because, you know,
And then you just have
we're
to make-
transferring money on, you know.
You just have to make sure you're dealing with Barclays US and not Barclays, so you just have to be careful when you go on the website that you're going to the Barclays US.
Right, well, I mean, I'm not,
And there's a,
Oh, so we wanna make sure we have Barclays US.
yeah,
I
when
got
you
you.
go on the website, it has to say Barclays US.
Okay.
Their high yield savings account is the high, no,
This is
Goldman
it.
Sachs
This
is
is
the
the-
highest, so then their Synchrony's the next, but they're still pretty high, 1.5, still pretty good for savings too.
Well, yeah,
so
that's more than what we're getting now.
Way more.
I make a motion that we transfer the pipeline systems reserve and open a CD with Barclays for $68,954.29.
Not for the line,
Oh, I thought we were,
not a CD. That should be a savings. We go in and out of it.
okay, so okay, let me correct that. I make a motion that we go with Barclays for the certificate of deposit for 60 months at a rate of 2.75% for the USDA Reserve Loan 1 for $71,821.35, and open another certificate of deposit for USDA Reserve Loan 2 in the amount of $48,242.39.
Now, okay, so I still have a potential problem with that, because I just realized we can't add easily to the CD either. So really, the Reserve Loan 1, we can do a CD, a long-term CD. The Reserve Loan 2, we have to do a high-yield savings, I was wrong. And the pipeline, we need to do a high-yield savings.
Now, I'd like to recommend that you keep the checking accounts open for the monthly transfers that we do. And put a
The checking
portion,
account?
for instance, like the USD reserve account, I'm whether it's checking or savings, I'm saying keep that account open, but only transfer maybe 70,000 to the CD.
Oh, you're saying keep the account open here, so we don't have to redo, but we're gonna have to redo the resolution anyway, because anything that we change, we're gonna have to change the resolution, so it's gonna be a big, we need to say that it's in a different bank, because the resolution specifies the bank, so all that
Right.
stuff's gonna have to get changed, so, I mean, that's fine, so that we don't have issues with but we're still gonna have to fix things at the bank anyway. I don't know do you really think we need to do that for loan 1?
In the right balance.
But
And so
loan
we
1
should-
we shouldn't be putting money into loan 1 anymore.
But if we need to, because remember, we have that calculation, it's based on the last 10 years. So far, we've been good for about a year now. So I don't
I believe
anticipate
that's
it, but
not-
you never know what's gonna happen.
I believe that's not correct. I think we need to reread the bond book, because I believe that the bond book states that after 10 years, that the money no longer goes into the reserve, that all the money goes into the replacement. Only for loan 1.
My understanding is
Not for
based
loan
on
two.
the average for the last 10 years of payment. So as we get into year 11, 12, 13, the first few years are no longer part of the calculation. It's only the last 10 years.
But couldn't we
that
do
we're
all
making
that
payments.
at the new bank? And because this bank is, every time you guys do a resolution, you guys go in there 10 times a year and have them fix things that are not fixed.
She's just saying not to put it all in a CD in case
yeah.
we need to put money in, but I'd like to read.
But here's another issue that might come up with the current bank. When we move some money from them, they may want to try to start charging us for having open accounts,
Yeah, service fees, all that kind
service
of stuff.
fees.
So,
That definitely happened because it changes our analysis figures, and therefore it could put us into a realm of where we would be they would start charging us.
Well, that's why I'm saying we should just close that account and transfer that account to the new online bank.
Lisa?
I'd like to, I know you didn't finish your motion and there isn't a
Right.
seconder, but I would like to have you consider not making the motion
I'm not
yet.
going to make the motion
I
yet.
think we need to do a little bit more research. We're very close, but I think one of the things we need to check on is we need to read the bond book and determine whether there's money that's actually still needing to go into that account, number one. And then I think we're not going to be able to know what they're going to reassess us at, but I think that that's the
But we can only assume that because
that's the biggest thing, but there's also, we need to check on the amount that can be transferred electronically at one time, because that's another thing, because some banks, you have to do like a special, you have to fill out the special paperwork if you're transferring too much of an amount, and I know that with like Barclays, when I did it, you have to actually transfer a phony amount first, so you have to transfer like a penny or a couple pennies to make sure that it's actually going through correctly, and then you transfer I don't know what their cap is on the amount because I wasn't playing with this kind of money, so I have no idea how much you can actually transfer. So that would be the other thing we need to check on, because if one of these banks has a cap, like, you know, 30,000 or something, then we may not be able to do it. I don't know what they cap out at. Some of them cap out at not that much money. Some of them are a whole bunch.
And when you get over a certain amount, a lot of times they require that you actually
Physically,
have a physical check go through.
Well, and if that's the case, we can do that. We can have them make us out.
Remove it and make a physical check.
Don't they
yeah.
transfer like millions and billions and
Yes,
trillions of
yes,
dollars
yeah, that's what I'm
all the
saying.
time?
Some of them transfer like a great deal of money. Some of them have measures in place to limit fraud, and so they don't let you transfer that greater amount of money without filling out some like additional stuff. So we just need to check into that too. Like, what is probably we need to call Barclays and just make sure that we can transfer that amount and that it's, you know, that it's covered and that kind of stuff. If we're gonna go with Barclays,
Yeah.
maybe we should pick two that we call on, just in case. So she doesn't have all of them. So like
Barclays and Capital One maybe. 360.
And then I'm sure you probably thought of this already, but we have a CD for each one of the accounts.
Well, of
that
course,
keep the
yeah.
same.
Yeah, well, we
I just
transfer
want to
it.
reiterate.
Yeah,
the
no,
wrong
because
thing.
we would name it the same account.
Be CD dash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be CD dash whatever
But
it is.
Capital One's much lower for high yield savings. You want Synchrony or Goldman
Yeah, I was gonna
Sachs?
say
Synchrony is the next
probably.
for as far as high yield savings.
So it's Capital One robs me.
So we're gonna look into which one? You're gonna do high yield savings or?
We need both.
We need
I
both.
think we need both. So we should
Okay.
either do like Synchrony or Discover, or Everbank's very low for their high yield.
So why don't we do Barclays and Synchrony? Because Synchrony is
a large bank. Yeah.
a large bank and they're 2.6,
Did you check
and then the
their
high yield
ratings?
savings is 1.55.
These are all like the highest rated, right?
These are the highest
Yeah.
rated. There were other banks,
Oh, Synchrony, but the minimum amount doesn't matter because it's going to be way more than that. That's fine.
I mean, because when we move these three, we would move them all to the same bank
Right.
because they're still under the 250.
And then the other thing is to check how they're compounded, because that makes a difference too.
must have been a monthly.
Daily?
Monthly.
Okay, because I think some of them are daily. So just double check. So yeah, with a little more research, I think maybe by next month we could move stuff.
Okay.
Okay. And then it's good discussion and good work, Tiffany.
Fantastic work.
You know,
Yeah, thank you.
That's the only kind of work she does.
I know, I've noticed that, but you know.
Okay, do we want to take a 10-minute brief recess?
I'm good.
Let's go. Discussion and review of election notices.
That was Director Schoenberg's agenda item.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Basically, Lebec is changing their
Oh,
election
that's right,
to the
that's
even
right.
years.
That's right. It's all coming back to me now. I don't think that this affects us, but I just wanted to make sure that we actually voted on it and that it was on the agenda. So
You just leave things as they are, right?
no, well, they had written we had received a letter saying that they were gonna change when they hold their elections, and we just need to vote on whether we have an issue with that or not.
Yeah, pursuant to Elections Code Section 10404, you are hereby notified that the directors of the Lebec Water County District have adopted a resolution changing the date for the election of their board members from November 2019 to November 2020 and subsequent even numbered years. So they're not going to do it every year, they're going to do it every other year. Further, pursuant to the above referenced section, your district may make a statement of the effect. If you wish to make such statement, please do so in writing and submit the statement to the Kern County Elections Office at 1115 Truxton Avenue, first floor, Bakersfield, California, 93301 within 10 business days from the date of this notice. Please contact our office if you have any questions or need additional information.
So we probably already missed that deadline, but
This was March
dated March
6th.
6th. So that's a moot
Okay, that
point.
point's moved. Let's go.
Next.
moving on.
Okay.
But ours is still saying the same, so,
Yeah, it doesn't really
Just-
affect us.
yeah.
They're changing to the consolidated general election, which we had to do.
We already did.
Yeah.
Discussion and vote on establishing a meal rate for employee travel.
With all the latest HR laws and rules and everything, part of that is come up where you're supposed to go with the established rates. So we included that in the packet. It shows what the established rates are for when people go out of town or whatever, and then it's a set amount every time, and you're you're in compliance with state law as to how it's supposed to be refunded. So if you look at that page, breakfast is $7, lunch 11, dinner 23, incidentals $5. So when we send people out of town to do, there's the time frame that's on here, even what can be reimbursed and when.
$23 dinner is pretty high.
Well, that's the
maximum.
No, that's the state.
Yeah, it turns out to
rate.
be $46 a day. We add all those up. So,
I was thinking, go
Yeah,
to
and-
a sit-down
and-
restaurant.
and historically-
$23
It's not
is-
$23. I go to restaurants all the time. That's a
Historically, none of us have charged that much, but again, the reason why it was brought up is because with all the new HR laws and all the lawsuits and everything that has happened in the past, this is one of the things that is pointed out, that they're sent on their own time and they're not reimbursed fairly or accurately or made to feel bad about their whatever it was. So that's why I'm bringing it to you. I'm not pushing it, just this.
But this is HR for corporations, not right? Or is it
No, it's for everybody.
for everyone.
I know, but I'm saying it's for anyone, but it's not for public utility districts necessarily.
No, it's for anyone, including public utilities.
I understand that, but I'm saying we have a mandate to try to be prudent with our money because it belongs to the community. We're not a for-profit company. So for me, I feel like, yeah, $7 breakfast, absolutely, because that's actually more probably. I mean, maybe it all evens out because what was the amount again? I think it was
$7 breakfast, 11 lunch, 23 for dinner, and incidentals $5.
So 11's a pretty average amount for everything, but so does that even out or somewhere?
Yeah,
in
it
there?
evens out. I mean,
Because 7 for breakfast is hard.
And it's reimbursement, right? So it's not, if they spend less, right?
if they spend less, it's fine. If they spend more, they just don't get reimbursed. They only get
These
reimbursed.
are the limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like, okay,
Well, that's what I'm
I'm gonna-
asking.
I'm
Is
gonna
this
get
a
me
mandate for
McNuggets.
$23 dinner, or is this like
Well,
up
that's
the
the max.
highest you'll
That's the
maximum?
max.
yes.
This is the maximum.
Maximum allowed.
A maximum allowed. I mean, more than likely, you're not gonna, I mean, and typically people, if they go, I mean, you don't go, oh, I'm gonna have the
And it
the
depends on where you go.
lobster.
It depends on where you, I mean, if you go to Frisco and you don't wanna go out to, in the neighborhood or something, you eat at the hotel or something, it might be $20 because Frisco is expensive. If you go to well, you wouldn't get it for Bakersfield, but if you go to some places, it's much cheaper.
I was gonna say, I
So
mean,
it just
Linda?
averages out to
Oh,
what it
I'm
is.
sorry.
yes, Linda.
These rates actually come from the federal per diem recommendation. There's actually a website that has all of them. And 46 is the average for most of the states and most jurisdictions. But areas like San Francisco, and there's some others, they do have a different rate, and those rates are on that federal per diem rate website.
Yeah, I looked at it, it's per county.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, going to LA, I mean, we did a thing, nothing.
I move that we accept these maximums and for our reimbursement rates, and that they were reimbursed based on the receipts that are brought by the employee.
I second that.
I just have a question.
Lisa,
This says at the back updated 5/26/2016, so is there one for 2018?
Probably, which we can look for that, but
It's copyright
The
2018.
federal government updates that report once.
it's copyright. Yeah, it's nothing to be concerned with. We're still just being reimbursed. It's just so you have a guideline of what it is. Because
Okay,
that's
so
what it is.
we're voting. I'm just bringing this up. We're making this motion based on this particular one, which is the 2016.
Why don't you make the motion pursuant on what the current for that county is on this website? Whatever the current county is at that time, then you don't have to change it. If you go to, Calaveras County, it's based on Calaveras County rates. Kern County rates.
well, because this is in-state and out-of-state.
Yeah, it's just
So, I
like,
mean-
yeah, and they do it by state too, like Linda
Yeah.
said, when you go on the website, it's just like mileage rates. Every time I submit for mileage, I have to check and see what the federal mileage rate is because it changes all the time.
So can I just say on the motion, would you be
I'll
willing
rescind
to?
mine. You go ahead and make one.
Yeah, I would just say that.
Go ahead and make the motion.
Okay, I move that we adopt as the maximum payouts, the California Department of Human Resources list for meals and incidentals, in-state for Kern County or the county that you're traveling to, and out-of-state for that particular state. If there's a state Department of Human Resources, I mean, it wouldn't be because they don't. Do they list all the
This is
states?
based on,
This is
yeah,
just based on
federal, too.
California.
federal too.
Okay,
It
so
lists
based
all
on the
states.
federal, so that would be our maximum. And based on the rates for the current year.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried 500. On sending clerk of the board to the CSDA Board Secretary Clerk Conference.
That's the one you do every year, right?
Yep, this is my annual one. I like to ask a little because it gives me time to plan. It also gives me time to pay off some credit cards before I go so that I don't have to use my own if
So this is
I
in
go over my
September.
max.
When is
So
it?
it's October
October.
22nd. So I have time.
Ooh, Lake Tahoe. Woohoo.
Yeah. It's-
I was gonna say, I thought, is this the one that you got the,
Scholarship?
Scholarship or
Mhm.
whatever for?
Yeah, the back page, I found this cool Excel way to calculate it. Bottom, conference fee, $575, which we're paying initially the members rate, but it's coming back to us. What happens is we pay it initially, and then once I proved I went to the conference, they send us the check back, a reimbursement check, so that's why it's both on there.
Okay.
And we continue to benefit from going. I think she should go every single year because things change every single year.
So do we gotta make a motion?
So you're saying we're not paying for the conference fee?
No, we're gonna send a check initially. So we're gonna send a check for $575 to the CSDA, or on my credit card. And what happens is, in October, I attend the event that I attended, and then they send us a check back for that amount,
Okay,
based on the scholarship.
okay. So,
I move we approve this expenditure for this 218 Board Secretary Clerk Conference.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried 500.
Kick ass.
Okay, we need to approve the minutes. March 8th, 2018.
I have a correction.
On page 1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the only one I found actually, and it's at the bottom, and it's probably even the Director Garcia informed the board He will be unable to attend meetings in June as he plans to be on an extended vacation. Well, I guess he could be on extended vacation.
Yeah, I didn't care about that one.
Yeah.
Did you find anything, Lisa?
I didn't, but I'm still on the last page, so hold on one second. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see
I'll hear a
any
motion
problem.
to approve the minutes. Lisa?
I move that we approve the minutes for Thursday, March 8th, 2018, with the possibility for additional amendments for typos or other errors that we might not have caught that may need to be corrected.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
500, motion carried.
I didn't have time to read the second one, so I'll just.
I didn't find any errors. Can I make a?
3/22/2018,
Mm-hmm.
no errors. Do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to,
Do it for the March 8th.
pass this, the minutes for March 22nd, 2018, with the possibility for additional amendments for typos or other errors that may need to be corrected.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried, 500. Discussion on future agenda items.
We're gonna do the bank again, right?
Yeah, we need to have
That's
the
cute.
banking on there, carry over.
Here, this goes in
The
that
ad hoc
folder.
and-
Emergency
The
call?
ad hoc, we need
Can you
to,
pass this over?
Go ahead.
God bless you.
we need to go ahead and put the banking one on the ad hoc, or not on the ad hoc, but we need to put, to see if we were able to change the issues.
You're welcome. Thank
This
you.
comes from-
So you want it specifically?
It was
Yeah, I think it'd be good just to make sure that we actually do that and
Almost done.
report on it in case we'll, well, I guess not, I guess we
I
can.
really heard when I fell.
Okay.
the next regular meeting,
We'll
right?
just, yeah,
No, I
we'll
fell on my
we'll
back.
just put it under
I
the,
fell on my
And
back.
hopefully I'll be
Treasurer,
well enough to
secretary
come
report.
then, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
That's right,
He
he
might not
may
be
be
here,
here
so-
on the next regular meeting.
Yeah, I feel good.
I probably will be. I mean, I would assume that hopefully I'll be 2 weeks in,
Stressful,
you
I
know,
know.
so.
I don't think we need it on the agenda. Yeah, I think we'll, help us remember.
I don't know how I'm gonna be able to pay for it.
Okay, anything else on the, I'll hear a motion of adjournment?
I'll make an emotion that we adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried,
Guys.
500.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, thank you, Johnny.
8:03.
You